I thought the worst part of my birthday would be turning 30. I was wrong. The worst part was when my own brother deliberately poured red wine all over my white dress in front of everyone. What he didn't know was that my friend had been secretly recording everything. If you've ever dealt with family drama or toxic siblings, you need to hear this story. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because trust me, you won't believe how this ends. And stick around until the very end. The revenge is absolutely perfect. You know that feeling when you're planning something special and you just want everything to be perfect? That was me, 3 months before my 30th birthday. I had saved up for over a year to throw myself the party I'd always dreamed of. Not because I'm materialistic or anything, but because I wanted to celebrate this milestone surrounded by the people I love most. I booked this beautiful venue downtown, ordered custom decorations, and even splurged on a gorgeous white designer dress that made me feel like a princess. But there was one person I was dreading having to invite, my brother Kevin. Now I know what you're thinking. He's family, right? How bad could it be? Well, let me paint you a picture of the last 28 years of my life with Kevin as my younger brother. Kevin has always had this thing about me. I don't know if it's jealousy, resentment, or just pure malice, but ever since we were kids, he's gone out of his way to ruin my special moments. When I graduated high school as valedictorian, he told everyone at the party that I had cheated on my exams. It wasn't true, but it cast a shadow over what should have been my proudest moment. When I got my first serious boyfriend in college, Kevin somehow convinced him that I was seeing someone else behind his back. Again, completely false, but it destroyed that relationship. The pattern continued into adulthood. When I was up for a promotion at work 2 years ago, Kevin called my boss pretending to be a concerned citizen and made up some story about me being unreliable. I didn't get the promotion. When I started dating Tom last year, Kevin showed up at our favorite restaurant on our 6-month anniversary and caused such a scene that we were asked to leave. Tom broke up with me the next week, saying my family drama was too much for him. Every single time Kevin would play innocent, he'd put on this hurt expression and act like he had no idea why I was upset with him. My parents always took his side, saying things like, "Kevin would never do that," or "You're being too sensitive, Jessica." It was maddening, so when I was planning my 30th birthday party, I seriously considered not inviting him. But I knew that would cause even more family drama. And honestly, I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of ruining my party by not even being there. I decided I would invite him, keep my guard up, and just enjoy my night, despite his presence. The week leading up to the party, Kevin was unusually nice to me. He called to ask what kind of flowers I liked, offered to help with setup, even complimented my dress when I showed Mom a photo. I should have known something was up. Kevin being genuinely kind to me was like seeing a unicorn. It just doesn't happen. The night of the party finally arrived and everything was perfect. The venue looked amazing with twinkling lights and elegant table settings. My friends started arriving around 7, and the energy was incredible. Everyone was dressed up, laughing, taking photos. I felt beautiful in my white dress. It was this flowing, ethereal thing that made me feel like I was floating. For the first time in months, I was genuinely happy and relaxed. Kevin showed up around 8:30 with his girlfriend Lisa. I'd met her a few times before, and she seemed sweet but very quiet, especially around Kevin. He walked up to me with this big smile and gave me a hug that felt surprisingly genuine. "Happy birthday, sis," he said, handing me a beautifully wrapped gift. "You look amazing tonight." I should have trusted my instincts, but I was having such a good time that I let my guard down. Maybe Kevin had finally grown up. Maybe he was ready to put our toxic dynamic behind us. For about an hour, he was the perfect brother, charming my friends, making everyone laugh, even helping the waiters clear plates. My best friend Amy was there with her new camera, documenting everything for my birthday memories. She'd been snapping photos all night and had started recording little videos of people giving me birthday wishes. Amy knows all about my history with Kevin, so she was keeping an eye on him too, but even she seemed to relax as the night went on. It was around 9:45 when Kevin approached me near the gift table. I was talking to my cousin Rachel about her new job when he walked up carrying a full glass of red wine. The lighting in that area wasn't great. It was one of those dimmer, more intimate corners of the venue, which should have been my first red flag. "Hey, Jessica," he said, that same warm smile on his face. "I wanted to toast to my amazing sister before we do the big group toast." I remember feeling this little flutter of happiness in my chest. Finally, I thought. Finally, my brother wants to celebrate me genuinely. I turned toward him with my own glass raised, ready to clink glasses and maybe even hug him afterward. That's when everything went wrong. As Kevin raised his glass toward mine, I saw this split second where his expression changed. The warm smile faltered, and there was something cold in his eyes. Before I could process what was happening, he tilted his glass and poured the entire contents, a full glass of deep red wine, directly onto the front of my white dress. The wine hit the delicate fabric and immediately began spreading, creating this horrific crimson stain right across my chest and down to my waist. I stood there in complete shock, watching my beautiful dress, my expensive, perfect, once-in-a-lifetime dress, being destroyed before my eyes. The conversations around us stopped. I could feel everyone staring, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, dripping wine onto the floor, feeling like I might throw up. "Oh my God, Jessica! I'm so sorry!" Kevin exclaimed. But here's the thing, I caught that split second where he looked satisfied before putting on his concerned face. "I tripped! I'm such a klutz! Here, let me help you clean it up." He started dabbing at my dress with a napkin, making it worse, and I finally snapped back to reality. I pushed his hands away and looked around at all the faces staring at me. Some people looked concerned, others looked uncomfortable, and a few were clearly trying not to laugh. "It's okay," I heard myself saying, even though it absolutely was not okay. Accidents happen. But it wasn't an accident. I knew it, and deep down, Kevin knew that I knew it. As I excused myself to go to the bathroom and try to salvage my dress, I caught him smirking at Lisa. Not a guilty, apologetic look, a pleased, mission-accomplished smirk. In the bathroom, I stared at myself in the mirror and started crying. The stain was massive and had already set into the fabric. This dress that had cost me $800 and made me feel so beautiful was completely ruined. But more than that, Kevin had done it again. He had found a way to humiliate me on one of the most important nights of my life, and once again, he was going to get away with it because it looked like an accident. I tried everything: cold water, soap from the dispenser, even asking other women in the bathroom for stain removal tips. Nothing worked. The wine had soaked through to my undergarments, and I smelled like a winery. After 20 minutes of futile scrubbing, I had to accept that my party outfit was destroyed. When I came out of the bathroom, the party was still going, but the energy had definitely shifted. People were trying to act normal, but there were whispered conversations and sympathetic looks. Kevin was holding court near the bar, telling some animated story that had people laughing. He barely glanced my way when I walked past. That's when Amy approached me. She had this strange expression on her face, excited but also angry. "Jessica," she whispered, pulling me aside, "I need to show you something." She pulled out her phone and swiped to a video she had been recording. "I was filming people dancing when Kevin walked up to you," she explained. "I kept recording because I thought he was going to say something sweet for your birthday video." She hit play, and there it was. The entire incident captured in perfect clarity. From Amy's angle, you could see everything. Kevin approaching me with the wine glass, the conversation, and most importantly, the moment when he deliberately tilted that glass and poured wine directly onto my dress. There was no stumble, no accident, no loss of balance. It was completely intentional. But the most damning part was what happened right after. While I was standing there in shock and everyone was focused on me, Amy's camera caught Kevin's face perfectly. He wasn't looking concerned or apologetic. He was trying not to smile. For just a few seconds, before he put on his act, you could see pure satisfaction on his face. "That little snake," Amy hissed. "I cannot believe he did this to you on your birthday." I watched the video 3 times, and each time I felt this mixture of validation and rage building inside me. Finally, I had proof. After years of Kevin sabotaging me and playing innocent, I had actual evidence of his cruelty. My first instinct was to march over there and shove the phone in his face, to call him out in front of everyone, but Amy grabbed my arm. "Wait," she said. "Don't you think he deserves something bigger than just being confronted at a party? Think about all the things he's done to you over the years, all the times he's gotten away with it." She was right. Kevin had spent decades making my life miserable and facing zero consequences. If I confronted him now, he'd just deny it was intentional. My family would make excuses for him, and by tomorrow it would be forgotten. But this video was different. "What are you thinking?" I asked Amy. "I'm thinking the internet loves a good villain getting exposed," she said with a mischievous grin. "And I'm thinking your brother just gave us the perfect way to show everyone who he really is." We spent the rest of the party pretending everything was fine. I changed into a spare top that Amy had in her car, and we acted like we were just making the best of a bad situation. Kevin continued playing the concerned brother, occasionally asking if I was okay and apologizing for his clumsiness. Each fake apology made me angrier, but I smiled and told him not to worry about it. The party ended around midnight, and as people were leaving, several guests approached me to say they were sorry about my dress. Kevin was one of the last to leave, giving me another one of his fake, concerned hugs. "I feel terrible about tonight," he said. "Let me buy you a new dress to make up for it." "Don't worry about it," I replied sweetly. "These things happen for a reason." If only he knew how right I was. Amy and I spent the next hour at my apartment, crafting the perfect social media post. We decided to keep it simple, just the video with a caption explaining what had happened and providing some context about Kevin's history of sabotaging my special moments. We didn't exaggerate or add unnecessary drama. We just let the video speak for itself. I posted it on my personal accounts first, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within the first hour, I had dozens of comments from friends expressing outrage and support. People were sharing the video, tagging others, and the views started climbing rapidly. By morning, the video had been shared hundreds of times. People who didn't even know me were commenting about what a horrible person Kevin was. The hashtag #WineBrotherExposed started trending locally. Several of my friends had reposted it with their own captions about toxic family members and the importance of holding people accountable. But the real validation came from my family members who started reaching out. My cousin Rachel called me crying, apologizing for all the times she'd dismissed my complaints about Kevin. My Aunt Linda sent me a long message about how she'd always suspected Kevin was jealous of me, but had never seen proof before. Even some of Kevin's friends were commenting on the post, saying they weren't surprised because he'd done similar things to them. Kevin, meanwhile, was in full damage control mode. He started calling and texting me frantically, demanding that I take the video down. When I didn't respond, he tried reaching out through other family members. He posted his own response video, claiming it really was an accident and that I was being vindictive. But by then, it was too late. The internet had made up its mind. The consequences for Kevin were swift and severe. His girlfriend Lisa broke up with him after seeing the video, telling mutual friends that she'd always felt uncomfortable with how he talked about me, but had never realized how cruel he actually was. His employer, a local marketing firm, let him go after the video went viral and started reflecting poorly on their company image. Several of his friend groups distanced themselves from him, but the most satisfying consequence was watching my family finally see Kevin for who he really was. My parents called me 3 days after the video went viral, both of them in tears. They apologized for all the years they'd dismissed my concerns about Kevin and made excuses for his behavior. They admitted they had always taken the easy route by asking me to be the bigger person instead of holding Kevin accountable. My mom cried on the phone for 20 minutes, telling me how sorry she was for not protecting me from my own brother. My dad, who had always been Kevin's biggest defender, said he was disgusted by what he saw in that video and couldn't believe his son was capable of such calculated cruelty. Kevin eventually sent me a real apology, not one of his fake, manipulative ones, but an actual acknowledgement of what he had done and how he had treated me over the years. He admitted to deliberately ruining my job opportunity, sabotaging my relationships, and yes, intentionally pouring wine on my dress. He said he was seeking therapy to understand why he had been so threatened by my happiness. I'm not ready to forgive him yet, and I may never be. Some relationships are too damaged to repair, and that's okay, but for the first time in my life, I feel like the truth about Kevin is out there, and people believe me. The video eventually got over 2 million views across all platforms. I received messages from hundreds of people sharing their own stories about toxic family members and thanking me for giving them the courage to speak up. Some people criticized me for exposing family business publicly, but the overwhelming response was supportive. 6 months later, I'm in a much better place. I've started dating again, someone Kevin has never met and never will meet. I got that promotion at work. My relationship with my parents is stronger than it's ever been. And Kevin? Well, Kevin is learning that actions have consequences, sometimes years later, and sometimes in ways you never expect. Sometimes the truth needs a little help coming to light. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Have you ever had to deal with a toxic family member? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And remember to subscribe for more real-life stories that prove karma is absolutely real. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next week.